find yourself feeling just a little bit weird when the topic of sexual needs comes up? Does it make you feel a little bit uncomfortable but you don't really know why? One's ability to express their sexual preferences is what is meant by sexual repression. While other people or even their partners, such people do find it challenging to discuss their sexuality. You begin to completely disregard it because you are afraid of having sex and are anxious after having it. Because of sexual absenteeism, this results in an inability to express sexual urges. To help you understand if this is something you are experiencing, we've done some research on this topic and found several signs that you may be suppressing your sexual needs. So let's get into it, shall we? Like and subscribe. Sleep. When you struggle to sleep, it could be for a number of different reasons. For this particular topic, lack of sleep, broken sleep, or oversleeping could show the levels of stress within your body. Basically, when you're too frustrated to relax enough to fall into a natural sleep, or your brain is too active to settle down. These can be signs of physical and mental stress. However, it is important to remember that there may be other underlying issues such as hormonal imbalances, medical conditions, or lifestyle habits that are contributing to the problem. Dissociation. People who experience sexual repression may or may not refrain from having sex. Although they may have sexual partners, pleasure is frequently absent from the act, meaning you will detach from all things emotionally tied to that physical act. No matter who you sleep with, when you sleep, or where you sleep, have you ever felt like you are not present during sex? Does this feeling continue, and do you find it difficult to relate to the physical sensations you have? If the answer is yes, you may be experiencing sexual repression. Tense. Having difficulty getting to the big O or feeling in pain during the interaction is a sign of sexual repression. It could be because your body is not relaxed enough or is too tense, so the muscles are tensing up too. Relaxing the body can be done through breathing and conscious relaxation of your muscles. If it is painful to have sexual intercourse for several reasons, there are a range of things you can use to help make it less painful, such as using lube to make the experience smoother, having a massage or hot bath beforehand, and setting aside time in advance to relax can all help make it far less uncomfortable. Anxiety. Another sign of having sexual repression could be the mental weight you feel when you think about your sexual desires, thoughts, and the act itself. Now, our brains are pretty complex, so if you are having any doubts or find yourself constantly overthinking, then it's no surprise that your emotional well-being will suffer too. This kind of mental burden can manifest itself in many different ways, from feelings of shame and guilt to an unwillingness to even think about sex. This is where sexual anxiety may occur. Sexual anxiety can have a detrimental impact on our overall well-being, and it's important to acknowledge that and seek out help if needed. Judgment. Nowadays, a lot of people care too much about what other people think about them, how they feel, how they think, and their beliefs and values. If you feel scared to talk about your sexual desires out of fear of being judged, this could lead to sexual repression. That is why it's important to build the courage to talk about one's sexual desires openly and honestly with a partner or even a therapist. Your desires are yours, and if someone else doesn't have the same view as you, that's okay. You shouldn't be embarrassed or feel judged for having your own thoughts and feelings, because no two people are the same. No joy. Sexual repression prevents some people from enjoying sex. This makes maintaining a relationship challenging. Without the ability to experience sexual pleasure, people can feel disconnected from their partners and unable to express their love in an intimate way. You could be feeling disconnected from sex for several reasons: laziness, mental blockages, confidence issues, and a lot more. In order to overcome sexual repression and allow yourself to experience the joys of intimacy, it is important to understand why you feel you may be disconnected. Guilt. Sometimes people avoid interacting with those of the opposite sex out of concern that doing so will trigger their sexual desires. They frequently feel guilty and ashamed after engaging in or discussing sex. This attitude can lead to feelings of sexual repression, which can limit people's potential for personal growth and connection with others. Now, if you were raised in a home where sex was considered a dirty act or taboo, or was just never really discussed, this could be the source of your sexual aversion. It will be ingrained in your head from such a young age that to have positive thoughts and feelings towards sex is bad, and therefore, if you have them, you may feel guilty, dirty, or embarrassed. Fake happiness. When you pretend to be happy when you are not, that's another sign of sexual repression. It becomes very challenging for the person to express or discuss their sexual preferences. This type of repression is not only a sign of frustration and sadness, but can also lead to serious mental health issues. If you find yourself pretending to be happy around your partner, someone you would normally feel sexually attracted to, or someone of interest, then this is a clear sign that you are suppressing your sexual desires. This can lead to other issues such as feeling disconnected from your partner, a lack of desire and energy, anxiety, depression, and difficulty communicating. Frustration, the release at the end of a critical component of sexual desires, like getting to the top of a mountain and taking in the view. The sense of satisfaction and accomplishment that comes with it can be a positive and powerful force, providing a sense of well-being and joy. Now, when you suppress your sexual needs and desires, you effectively prevent yourself from experiencing that release. Our brains release oxytocin and endorphins when we experience an orgasm, and these can help reduce stress, improve our moods, and even act as a natural pain reliever. When you stop this from happening, it could lead to you feeling incredibly frustrated and tense. Boundaries. One way you could be suppressing your sexual desires is when you struggle to understand and respect other people's boundaries. A very intimate act, boundaries are very important for both you and your partner. You may find it difficult to express what you are comfortable with and what you would consider a hard boundary, something you don't want to do. Knowing and respecting boundaries can be very challenging, and it is even more so when it comes to our sexual desires. Confusion. Do you feel confused about your body and your desires? Now, we have three components: the mind, the body, and desires. If you are confused about any of them and feel embarrassed to have the conversation, wires can be crossed and you can suppress the feelings rather than work through them. It is important to understand the interaction between your mind, body, and desires and have an open conversation with yourself and people in your life who can provide support. Sometimes, when we are confused, we adopt the sexual desires of our partners because they are confident enough to talk about them, so we just assume that they are the normal desires that we should have. No mirrors. Sexually repressed individuals avoid staring at themselves while they are naked. Of course, this could be caused by a variety of other factors, but when combined with the other symptoms mentioned, it leads support to the idea that it is sexuality that is being suppressed. Now, this repression can have a negative effect on an individual's self-esteem and personal relationships, as it may be difficult for them to accept their own bodies or communicate their desires. Distractions. Some people who are suppressing their sexual desires will turn to other bad behaviors to distract themselves. Unfortunately, these behaviors can be destructive and range from overindulgence in drugs, for example, alcohol maybe, compulsive gambling, and other forms of addiction. Things like binge eating, smoking, excessive drinking, and other substance abuse. Anything they can go to divert their attention on and channel their energy will become, well, their new normal. While these forms of escapism may offer that temporary relief, they often lead to more long-term problems that can be much harder to solve.